Hi there, welcome to my channel where I take you on tours of tiny, alternative, and unique homes. In today's episode, we're traveling back to Tiny House Block, the first legal tiny house community in San Diego, to meet Ryan and Julie, a young couple who were ready for home ownership but struggled to find affordable options. So Ryan and Julie decided to self-build their own custom tiny house that suited their needs, was affordable, and had the flexibility of giving them the option to move anywhere. But before we jump right into the tour, if you like videos like this one where we showcase stories of people living alternatively, make sure that you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you know every single time we publish a new tour.
Will you join me? Will you roll? Make this house our tiny home.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Julie.
This is Nugs, and this is our tiny house. We were looking into purchasing a house and just couldn't find anything that was really affordable. We saw a couple tiny house videos on YouTube and said, hey, we can probably do that.
We wanted someplace that felt like a home rather than a van or an RV. It just didn't feel like a house we're coming home to. We wanted the option to be able to move wherever we want.
A couple months later, we were buying a trailer and building a tiny house.
We looked at a lot of building plans and there was nothing that really fit our needs. We really wanted to have the two lofts, one for the bedroom and one for my office because I work from home full time. But in a 20-foot trailer, that just wasn't something that we could really find building plans for, so we decided to plan it all ourselves.
Our tiny house cost about $50,000 and took us around 10 months to build.
Lumber itself probably came to around $5,000, obviously more when we splurged to go with shiplap instead of a lighter cedar that we were originally planning on. So we did end up spending a little more money than we originally planned, but we just wanted to make it home. Living tiny has been really great. I think it's been really helpful to think about what we're purchasing. It makes...
This is great, Nugs.
Yeah, this is our life. I love being tiny. It makes us think about what we're purchasing and just ensuring that we're not getting more things than we actually need.
And with living in a 210 square foot tiny house, we do have an office loft and a living room. We do have a king size bed. We're not missing any of the big amenities that you would look for in any house. So we decided to go with more of a craftsman style home. As far as our trailer goes, it's an Iron Eagle trailer. It's 20 feet by 8.5 feet, and then we're about 13.5 feet tall.
We're currently parked at the Tiny House Block community in Mount Laguna, California.
It's about 30 or so minutes from San Diego. So on the front of our house, we have our 50 amp power connection. Then we have our septic here for all of our gray and black water. And then we also have our water connection, which is under this rock. Living in the mountains, we'll definitely have to insulate everything really well, but in the summer, we're totally fine. Early on through our build process, we did know that we were gonna end up needing to be plugged into power because our options were pretty much, living at an RV park or finding a tiny house community like we live in now. But down the road, we would definitely like to be going solar. And when we were wiring the house, we definitely thought that through and made it so we could easily switch that once we're on our own land. Just the simple water connection, if we needed to be on a well in the future, we'd be able to still plug in just like a normal hose bib into the house. There's only a few things that we've done in the backyard, like adding this artificial turf that we got from Lowe's. We ended up having to pull a lot of the weeds so that our dog didn't get any foxtails in her nose. So we also have a doubles hammock, which oftentimes gets used for a single person and a dog. It's really nice to just, sit and relax in. So since building the tiny house ourselves, we decided we, needed to have a lot of different tools to do that. So we ended up buying the shed, which holds really all of our tools that we used for the build and all of our building materials and extra paint and stuff like that that we might need through the years. Since getting the shed, we really decided that we'll actually be able to have, future growth with certain possessions. Like we could get bikes, since there's a lot of biking trails in the area. It kind of leaves us with the ability to have more in the future instead of feeling like we can only have what we have now. Up here we have the other half of our mini split. This is the exterior part of it, which is really what generates the heating and the cooling for us. We ended up going with the mini split because living up here in Mount Laguna, we do experience all 4 seasons. Currently we're getting into our summer months, so it's starting to get hot each day. But then in the fall and the winter, we know that we're gonna get snow, and we gotta be prepared.
Welcome to our tiny home. Come on in. So for the interior of our tiny house, we really wanted to make sure that it felt warm and inviting. We really love wood tones, but we also wanted to make sure that it was light and bright so it would feel bigger. We wanted to have a 40-inch TV. We actually mapped it out. We put a little bench in here and figured out what size we needed, what would be the most perfect for this space. We play a lot of video games, watch a lot of cooking shows. Having a TV in the winter is really important to us. We also love music, and we have a pretty decent record collection. Having a record player and our speakers in here to have good quality audio is very important to us. Behind this picture is our electrical panel, so it's hidden away. And this wall that we did, we actually got all of this material for free. Really love the design. It really makes it a little more craftsman feel, makes it feel like a home. We were originally planning to build a custom couch that was gonna pull out. With the time frame, we just ended up trying to buy a couch, and we got lucky enough to find one that fit the space perfectly, and it happened to come in one of my favorite colors, the color that we had already painted the bathroom, so it turned out pretty great. We raised it on some taller legs, so we have shoe storage, and then we actually have a bed for Nugs so that when we're cuddling on the couch, she can be on the floor, or she could be up in Nugs' nook. She loves sitting in the window. It's something that she always did in our old home. And so we wanted to make sure that she had a space where she felt comfortable and could look outside whenever she was home alone. So we didn't want to have the place feel too closed in. We talked about doing cupboards above the couch, but it just felt like it would be too dark in here. So we did some open shelving so we could store our books, have a humidifier, trinkets and whatnot up there. So one of the things that Ryan really wanted to take into the tiny home was his singing bowl, so we made sure there was a place to display it. All right, now follow me over to the kitchen. It's actually the biggest kitchen I've ever had. It has the most storage space of any place that I've lived after moving out of my parents. We decided to go with extra thick butcher block, and we stained it white so that we wouldn't have that yellow finish, so it would match the rest of our interior, and then we polyed it with extra thick poly to ensure that it is a little water resistant. We decided to go with a 28-inch sink. We do all of our dishes by hand, so it's really important that we had the dual sink and one that's extra deep for our big pots and pans so that we're not splashing water everywhere. We love this sink. It's the best sink I've ever had. We have shelving up here. We restore some of our special glassware, and we have our little picture of Nugs to make it feel like home. That's also where we store her treats, so she knows anytime we go up there she's gonna get a little something. We have a mini split, so it actually helps keep the kitchen pretty cool. Like if we're cooking something hot like spaghetti, it's really nice to just turn the mini split on and feel the cold air. And we have a ceiling fan, which we really love. It's pretty cool up here on the mountains, so we just can kick it on, open some windows, and don't even have to turn on the mini split when we're not cooking. And then we really wanted to make sure we had open shelving that would keep things off of the counters, so all of our fruits and veggies can go up here in this bowl that I got from my grandmother. So this is our stove. We love it. It's actually an RV stove, and it operates off of propane. It's a pretty good size oven. The one thing that I would complain about with this stove specifically is how it closes, and then also it takes forever to light. Like we can never get the actual oven to light, so we have to go down there and light it with a lighter. So Because our stove is propane, we do need to have a vent hood, so we have that. We actually, just for aesthetic purposes, made it look like it vents out the roof, but it actually vents out the side. So we just wanted to make it look a little bit more extravagant, so we blocked that out with some wood and painted it black. And this is our treasure. It's a DIY pantry, but it pulls all the way out and it has storage on both sides. It fits everything that we need and more. That's actually the most storage I've ever had to store food. We don't live close to a grocery store, so it's nice to be able to buy things in bulk and, you know, prolong that next trip down the mountain. This is our fridge. We wanted to go with a more apartment size, larger fridge for a tiny house. The reason we wanted a bigger fridge was because we're both vegan. We eat a lot of produce. We want to make sure that we have enough food in the house at all times. We went with the Frigidaire fridge mostly because of the aesthetic of it. Really loved that more retro look, and it was on sale, so that was a huge plus. And this is our pocket door. It's a DIY. We took 2 pieces of plywood, put a mirror in between it, so there's actually a full-length mirror on the other side, and then we just stained it. And this leads us into the bathroom. We have actually a washer dryer combo in here. We wanted to make sure that we weren't having to run to the laundromat or use a shared unit. Right in here we have a closet. I got my side here, and then Ryan's side is back here. It's actually pretty ample storage for a tiny house. I mean, I have way more shirts than I thought I was going to be able to keep. Each of these drawers pulls out about 18 inches, so really nice to have that. And then this is our vanity. We wanted to make sure that we had a nice vanity that had a lot of storage. It was like a really big thing for us. We actually went with a larger vanity than shower. Having the extra storage was worth having the smaller shower. It's about 3 by 2 feet. We wanted to make sure that we had a pretty deep basin so that we could give Nugs baths and we can contain the water a little bit. The shower is just tall enough for Ryan to fit under it and shower. And then we actually have our composting toilet. Our urine is hooked up to the septic, so that can just go in, but we wanted a composting toilet so that we could go off-grid. We actually use the cedar shavings. Just, you know, after doing your business, get a couple scoops of that, pour it over your deuce, and then proceed with your day. We actually have like a little fan that we installed. It's just on a battery, but we can turn a fan on. We just empty it every day and then make sure that we're covering our smell, and it's great. And this is my office. It was really important for me to have a dedicated workspace since I do work from home. I didn't want to have a space that I had to set up and tear down every day. Outside of work, I do a lot of photography, a lot of concert photography, so it's important to me to have a space to store my camera equipment. One of the things we really wanted in this tiny house was to have this beautiful beam that goes throughout the house. I mean, for one, it's a support beam, so it does hold up the entire house, and 2, it just looks really pretty. It's stained oak. We stained our cedar tongue and groove on the ceiling white as well, so that we could get that yellow tone out. That was a lot of work. I don't know that I would recommend it to anyone. I think the outcome is beautiful, but the amount of labor that went into that, it was excruciating. So just know that if you want to stain your ceiling. And then I also have my violin, so I can pull that out and play it whenever I want. Sometimes it's nice, like on a 15-minute break, to just grab it. Makes me, you know, think about other things other than work. So it's really nice to have right on the wall there. And next we'll head over to the bedroom. We have this nice staircase that we built. We made sure that there's shoe storage down here so that when we walk in the door we can kick off our shoes immediately, so we're not tracking dirt through the house, especially since we live in the wilderness. Have my Taylor GS Mini right here. Nice to have a place to put it. We were worried we were gonna be able to fit a guitar in the house. And then above the kitchen on this wall here, we actually have some of my photography. So these were some of my earliest photos of one of my favorite bands. So it's nice to have those. It's a good reminder of what's fun in life and, you know, goals and things that we can achieve. This is our bed. We really wanted to have a king size bed. So important to us because our dog does sleep in between us. So having that extra bed space is very, very important. When you think about going tiny, you don't expect to have a king size bed, so we're happy we do. Making the bed is difficult, especially since we have our little build out for storage right up against the bed. It really is a struggle. I usually have Ryan do it because his arms are longer than mine and he can actually reach from both sides of the bed. But it is a challenge, but definitely worth it because the extra space in bed is just important to us. Also in our bedroom loft, we have our skylight. It's a egress, so we do have an emergency ladder off the side that we can release if in case there was a fire or something like that. We have 2 windows on both sides, so they're awning windows, so we can still have them open in the rain, which is really nice. Keep some ventilation in the house. We have this built-in storage that we really needed. We have our disc golf bags here. We measured it perfectly so that we could ensure that we had space for both of our bags.
We also have a disc golf course here in Tiny House Block. That's something a friend of mine that works here and myself built early on with us moving here.
And then we also have a couple nooks with pull-out baskets that have, like, I keep my hats, my purses, just things like that in there. The advice I would give to people who want to go tiny is think about everything you have. What do you want to keep and what are you okay with getting rid of? And then when you're designing your tiny house or picking out a tiny house, make sure that there's a space for everything. That's how you can keep your house neat. It's how you can make sure that you're happy where you are and you're not giving up anything that you actually really love. We chose everything so specifically to meet our design styles, and so it really is everything I love and it's beautiful.
Thanks for watching this week's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you'd like to see more tours of tiny homes situated at the Tiny House Block or a tour of this community as a whole, make sure that you check out the links in the description. And I will see you soon with another unique home tour.